Hey peeps, we are back. We are talking Love After Lockup, Season 4, Episode 2. Hey, before we get into the video, please do me the honors of subscribing to my channel, hitting the notification bell so you can always be notified when I post new content, hitting the thumbs up because that does wonders for my channel, and share. Thanks. Indy and Harry. So of course, you know, Harry has been picked up from the halfway house. Indy was able to receive her notebook moment, running into his arms. I said, oh my God, get out of here with this mess. They are supposed to be going back to his sister's house. His sisters are both there, his mother. They have planned this big dinner. They wanted to spend some time with him, welcome him home. I'm sure his sister wanted to also lay down the rules to staying at the house. He decides that since they did not come see him when he was in prison and they did not make him a priority, that he doesn't want to have dinner with them. He doesn't want to eat mofongo. So he has decided that he would like to have rallies. Here in Ohio, it's called rallies. Other places, I think it's called checkers. And he also decides that he's going to pick up some burgers for his friends, which I thought was really weird because Indy allowed him to order food, but she also ordered and ate food, knowing good and daggone well that his sister had prepared a meal back at the house. You know, she leaves to pick him up at midnight, but they don't get back to his sister's house until after 3 o'clock. And before Indy left, his sister, his other sister, and mom had already told her that they all worked the next morning. So they wanted to have a nice meal and then, you know, hit the sack because they have to work. Now, let me tell you something. I think that Indy should have put her foot down. She should have said, okay, if you want to get burgers for your friends, let's grab the burgers real quick, drop the burgers off to your friends, but you need to go home and eat mofongo or whatever it is, and we'll get you burgers tomorrow. You know, your mom is there, your sisters are there, and even if you're not happy with them right now at this moment, you really should be there because they're being kind enough to allow us to stay at their house. You know, you're being paroled there. It's the best thing to do. Not only that, Indy's daughter is there. You told them that you were going to pick him up and come right back. You didn't say you would be gone for almost 4 hours. One thing I thought was weird too is he tells her to move over and he's driving her car. Now, dude, you've been in jail for over 4.5 years. That means your driver's license is good and suspended. And you just got out of jail. There is no way that he would have been driving my car. And then when he got back to his sister's house, he had an attitude. His sister, of course, she rightly had an attitude. He goes outside with an open bottle, drinking wine or champagne or whatever that was in that bottle, walking the streets. I said, dude, you are not in Las Vegas. You are not in New Orleans. What are you doing? You are absolutely trying to go to jail. So here he is with this attitude, and they end up pulling Indy's daughter out of bed. Here it is, almost 4 o'clock in the morning. This baby is asleep. This is when I think that Indy should have spoke up and said, listen, you are going to have to bury your pride, carry your butt in here and get in this bed. Be quiet so that your sister can get some rest, so that your sister's baby, your nephew, can get some sleep. You are not waking my daughter up at 4 o'clock in the morning to haul her out here in the rain to a hotel that neither one of us can afford. Neither one of us have jobs. We barely have a plan. You need to stay here. But no, she lets him pack them up and they get in the car to drive over to the hotel. Indy is all upset. She's crying. And he says that she's not ready for this. He wants her to be ready, but she's not. She clearly is not. Indy, you can tell, comes from a really good family, and she doesn't know anything about the streets or street life or any of that. Harry had already told her in previous episodes of Love During Lockup that him and his family have a little rocky situation. So she should have already known this. But what got me is he forgot to call his parole officer. He was supposed to call his parole officer between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. the first business day that he is out of the halfway house. He didn't call. So the PO calls his sister's house where he is paroled to, and she lets him know what happened. Well, he says that now Harry has to get a ankle monitor because he has to spend every night at his sister's house. And in order for them to know for sure that he's staying at his sister's house every night, He needs to get an ankle monitor because he can't be spending all of his nights with his pen pal.
His pen pal?
We are not pen pals. We've been together for a year.
Oh, y'all met in prison? Y'all pen pals?
So that means you can't live with me or we're not supposed to be together? Because that's what it sounded like he was trying to say.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. It's not what he's trying to say. That's what he said.
He can't say that, though.
He can. What you mean? I'm on parole for the next 15 years. For the next 15 years, that man can tell me whatever.
Honey, now listen, when that man said pen pal, I laughed. I did. I'm sorry. Indy, if you ever watch this video, I'm sorry, girl. But it kind of is a pen pal. You know, and he did tell her he's going to be on parole for 15 years. That parole officer seems to me to be no nonsense. He's not going to put up with Harry just doing whatever he wants to do. Listen, it's his first night out of the halfway house. He has already broken several rules. Walking around with an open container, driving the car with no license, and leaving his sister's house. I think we have a problem. Indy, you are not ready. I think you should put your baby in the car, drop Harry off at his sister's house, and hit the road. Taylor and Chance. So Chance is getting out of jail. It was a surprise to her that he was getting out of jail, so the WeTV cameras could not make it, so she had to film it all herself. She said that she wanted to get sexy. She wanted to be really cute when he seen her. She says that she was a little upset because she didn't have a chance to get everything together and clean the house to make everything perfect for when he got out. She says that he has everything that she lacks and she has everything that he lacks. And I said, well, there's one thing that both of you lack. Common sense. I'm sorry. It had to be said. The woman is not showing that she has any sense when it comes to this man. When he comes out, he says that he robbed a bank because he was high on Xanax. But then I started thinking, this dude robbed a bank and she works for payroll somewhere. I certainly hope she doesn't share the information about her job with him. He says that he was addicted to cocaine, Vicodin, Percocet, and Oxy. I said, oh, wow, that makes me a little nervous. You know what I mean? As if I wasn't already concerned about him moving right into her house with her 3 young girls. I just think that she is making a mistake. She sat out in the car waiting for him to show up for so long that her battery died. They ended up having to get a jump from some guy, and I thought that was really nice that someone was actually there to help them. Usually when someone's getting out of prison, they have people out there telling you to move along. I'm telling you right now, this lady is really gullible, and I think that he is about to take her for one hell of a ride. And if she lets him break up her and her twin sister's relationship, she'll be making a great mistake. You know what? I'm just wishing the best for her and her sister, but mostly for her little girls. I think because Chance is attractive and he's able to, you know, take advantage of her being so naive and so gullible, that he is about to take over her entire life and her home. And I'm wishing her the best. Rick and RAYDEAN. So Rick is out with his roommate Ramona buying clothes for his girlfriend who's going to be getting out in a couple of days. And I don't think that relationship is going to work too great. It doesn't seem to me that Ramona is okay with RAYDEAN coming to live there. And RAYDEAN is absolutely not all right with Ramona living there. And Rick says that he thinks that Ramona may have a little crush on him. I think it's definitely going to be a problem because RAYDEAN has already stated that just because Ramona lives there does not mean that she's going to have the upper hand. Honey, listen, I think that Ramona is going to be in for some trouble. Rick thinks that he can handle both of these ladies living in that house. I don't think it's going to happen. I think that it's going to be a whole lot of trouble that somebody could end up in jail. He ends up spending over $700 at this raunchy lingerie shop buying clothes for RAYDEAN. And I said, are you kidding me? Are you serious? He says that he's not rich, and that was a big chunk of the rent money that was spent buying this girl these clothes. I said, wait a second. This girl has been in jail for how long? You should have ran over to the Walmart. You should have got her a 6-pack of Hanes her way and some Hanes bras, some t-shirts, and some jeans. You could have gotten all of that at the Walmart for the low price of less than $175. It just does not make sense to me that you would spend $730 some on raunchy underwear for this girl who was going to a halfway house. Then he decides he's going to run over and see her father. One thing that I thought was weird to me is Rick looked as if he was the same age as her daddy, the same age as her stepmama and everything. Her dad says that it used to bother him, the big age difference between Rick and RAYDEAN, but he realizes that Rick has been good to her this whole time, so now he's okay with it. Rick lets her parents know that he has a girl roommate named Ramona, and they also wonder, you know, Lord have mercy, how is this going to work out with these two ladies living at the house? And he says that Ramona's not his type and he's not Ramona's type, but earlier you had just told us that you thought Ramona had a crush on you. Her dad is also concerned about her addiction. He says that she's jail clean. She's been in jail all this time and she's been sober because she's in jail. But now that she's going to be out in the real world, will she be able to remain sober and clean? Her father lets Rick know that she's going to be coming back to his house when she gets out of the halfway house. Rick was absolutely shocked because he believed she was going to be paroling to his house. Her dad is concerned because Rick is also a recovering addict, and he's worried that Rick and her together may, you know, maybe they may have a beer, then all of a sudden beer leads to something harder, and he really does not want his daughter to get back on drugs, and he absolutely does not want her back in jail. Her father put Rick on notice. He says if he finds out that there was any smoking, any drugs, or anything going on at his house, or that he has done anything to mistreat or upset his daughter, that he will be on his butt. And I believed him. He looks like he meant what he said. Did anybody notice later in the episode when he was sweeping up his garage, all those cigarette butts? It's as if he uses his garage as an ashtray. It was quite disgusting. Then we find out from RAYDEAN that she's not getting out of jail that afternoon the way she was supposed to due to a COVID outbreak in her jail unit. So she has to stay in jail, I guess, for quarantine. And I was just thinking, remember when Lindsay got out of jail, they had the same COVID situation, so she wasn't able to go to the halfway house. She had to get an ankle monitor and quarantine at Scott's. I wonder why RAYDEAN couldn't do the same thing. Anyway, this is another relationship that I don't think is going to work out. KAYLAH and Martell. Honey, now listen. KAYLAH has put on her strappy shoes. She's got her little white dress on. She is standing outside the Greyhound station looking as if she is working the strip, waiting for Martell. She is out there for hours, and she's talking about how she wants him to marry her right away, and she wants this ring for $40,000. I said, oh my gosh, this is Brittany and Ray all over again. Talking about how she's going to let him shoot up the club because she wants to get pregnant. I said, this girl is giving me dumb. 2 hours late, he finally shows up, and she is ready, honey. She is all about business. He says that he had been in the drug game since he was about 12 years old, but then he throws me for a loop when he says that he comes from a wealthy family. I said, now what now? You come from a wealthy family, but you were in the drug business? Then it reminded me a little bit of Dylan from Love During Lockup. He comes from a wealthy family too, but he still ended up in jail somehow. Martell has about 10 hours before he has to report to the halfway house, so they go back to the hotel to have the sex. And you know, KAYLAH makes this comment about she's just going to let the universe do what it does. And I would just like to say that as many times as I've been to a gynecologist office, they have all those posters and diagrams up on the wall about birth control. Not once did I ever hear about universal birth control. Ma'am, don't let the universe be your birth control. Get you some condoms. Get you something, ma'am. This is kind of gross to me. This man has been in jail for 13 years and you just want to have the unprotected sex right off the bat. No, ma'am. This here is another relationship that's just not going to last. She says that the last time she had sex was 1.5 years ago, and that she doesn't think it's going to be a good idea for him to find out about it because there's going to be problems in their relationship. Well, honey, listen, there's definitely going to be problems in a relationship. I don't even know why you would bring it up. If you don't want him to know, keep your mouth quiet. I'm just saying. Kevin and Tiffany. So we find out that Tiffany is going to be out in about 2 days. Kevin is extremely excited. He's out with his friends, letting them know that his girl is about to be getting out soon. The whole time he's celebrating and talking to his friends, his ex-girlfriend KAYLAH is blowing his phone up. He tells the guys that Tiffany is going to the halfway house. Then after that, she's going to live with him because he's no longer going to be a playboy. He is going to settle down and be a one-woman man. And supposedly, Tiffany is no longer going to be using or selling drugs. I certainly hope that is true because he's got his son living at the house and they do not need all of that extra activity. Plus, he's got this crazy ex. And out of nowhere, his crazy ex-girlfriend Kayla shows up, and his friend, oh my gosh, his friend's face. He looked at her, he rolled his eyes, he turned his head, he looked back at her with a face of disgust. His one friend said she's a stage 5 clinger and she always shows up wherever they are. Well, here's the thing. This dude posted where he was on Facebook. You obviously wanted her to know where you were. Now this thing too ticks me off is he keeps on acting as if he doesn't want her anymore, but he keeps pulling her back in and then wanting to push her away. She says that they have sex every Sunday, that she stays the night over there on Sunday. They watch their favorite TV programs together and makes her think that it's all good and that they're going to be something. And then he pushes her away and she never hears from him. She asked him multiple times, is there somebody else? What is going on? She tells him that she's never going to stop wanting to be with him. She's not going to stop being in love with him. And she doesn't want anybody else. And I'm saying, girl, pick your self-esteem up and go work on your mental health. You can do better than this guy. I think that Kevin doesn't realize that he is dealing with a ticking time bomb. She has already shown you multiple times. Your son told us about her kicking in your door. Then we saw her show up over at your house. You cannot sleep with a woman over and over and over again and then ghost her. And I think that he needs to realize you've got to treat women better than this. Personally, I think that Kevin is straight up trash. He wants this girl to do this because it feeds his ego. She asked him for the truth and he didn't tell her. If you don't want to be with her, stop sleeping with her. What you needed to do is tell her the very truth. You have another girl. Her name is Tiffany. Tiffany means something to you. You and her cannot be friends. You cannot have sex anymore. And then you block her. Stop treating her as if she's some sort of toy that you can pick up and put down. I mean, it's just really unbelievable to me that he's supposed to be this awesome playboy. Who is buying that? Boy, get on somewhere with your scumbag self. I'm just saying, this relationship is doomed. Then we see Kevin. He is 4 hours away from his house, staying the night at a hotel to go pick Tiffany up. I said, well, at least him being 4 hours away, there's no chance of KAYLAH showing up at the prison. But anyway, he didn't even make it to the prison. He calls to find out that she's not getting released. Then he finds out that it was a disciplinary issue and he says, well, did she get in trouble? Well, what the hell did you think disciplinary meant? Yes, she got into some sort of trouble. I mean, good God, get some sense. Anyway, he tries to call to get more information and they pretty much hung up on him because he ended up calling the same prison back and the lady said, didn't I tell you earlier? And I didn't have any additional information. He looks her up online and it says that her release date is 4/14/25. I said, well, let's hope that's a mistake. Because let me tell you, no matter when this girl is getting out, I bet you 9 times out of 10, he's going to drive all the way home and he's going to contact KAYLAH. KAYLAH should let him go. Save yourself some heartache. Save yourself some time. Use that time to work on yourself and hire you a mental health professional, young lady. Anyway, I look forward to seeing what you guys have to say down in the comments. And until next time, bye.